They lived rent-free in my house for 8 years. They wanted me to give it away. Instead, I sold it and finally bought something for myself. Update: I said no. Then I sold it. The phone call came on a Tuesday evening, right as I was heating up leftover pasta in my cramped kitchen. My mother's number lit up the screen, and I answered without a second thought. "We need to talk about the house," she said, her voice carrying that particular tone she uses when she wants something. I set down my fork, already mentally running through the list of potential repairs. The water heater was getting old. The roof had been making sounds during the last rainstorm. Maybe the HVAC was acting up again. What's wrong? Is something broken? There was a pause. A long one. The kind of pause that makes your stomach drop before anyone says a word. "No, nothing's broken. Your father and I have been talking, and, well, with your brother's wedding coming up, we thought it would be nice if we could give him a real gift. Something meaningful." I still didn't understand. "Okay. You mentioned you were helping with the wedding costs. That's already pretty. We want to give him the house." I actually laughed. I thought she was joking. She wasn't. "Your brother is starting a family. He's going to need a real home, not some apartment. And you own this house, so we were thinking you could sign it over to him as a wedding gift from the family." I stood in my 600-square-foot apartment, the apartment I'd been living in for 8 years because I couldn't afford 2 mortgages, and tried to process what my mother was saying. "Mom, that's my house. Well, we live here. And it would mean so much to your brother. You're not even married. You don't need a whole house. I bought this house to save them from being homeless. I've paid $172,000 in mortgage payments over 8 years. And they want me to gift it to my brother for his wedding." I told her I needed to think about it, hung up the phone, and sat down heavily on my second-hand couch. Then I did what I always do when I'm trying to understand something incomprehensible. I started writing it down. The backstory. 8 years ago, my parents lost their home to foreclosure. The financial crisis had hit them hard, but honestly, the writing had been on the wall for years. My father had a habit of treating investments like casino bets: high risk, no research, pure gut feeling. My mother enabled it because she loved the idea of striking it rich. They didn't strike it rich. They struck rock bottom. I was 30 years old when I got the call. My mother was crying. They had 2 weeks to vacate. 2 weeks, and then they'd be homeless. My father was too proud to speak. He'd handed the phone to my mother and walked away. My brother, who was 24 at the time, was living with his girlfriend in another city. He expressed sympathy over text message. He did not offer help. I was the one who stepped up. I'd been working steadily since college, building my career, building my credit score, building toward something. I had plans. I was saving for a down payment on my own place. I was thinking about the future. Instead, I bought a house for my parents. They couldn't qualify for a loan. Their credit was destroyed. They had nothing for a down payment. So I did what I thought was the right thing. I put my name on the deed, my name on the mortgage, and I bought them a modest 3-bedroom house in a decent neighborhood. The mortgage was $1,800 a month. I was already paying $1,200 for my apartment. I couldn't afford both, but I couldn't afford to let my parents be homeless either. So I made it work. I took on extra projects at work. I stopped going out. I canceled vacations. I drove the same car for years past when I should have replaced it. I told myself it was temporary, that eventually my parents would get back on their feet, start contributing, maybe even take over the payments. They never did. The arrangement was that they'd live there rent-free while they recovered financially, and they'd help when they could. The help never materialized. My father got a part-time job at a hardware store, but somehow that money was always needed for something else. My mother started a small crafting business that perpetually operated at a loss. Every month, without fail, I sent that $1,800 payment. I live in a 600-square-foot apartment because I can't afford 2 mortgages. They live in my house rent-free. And now they're mad I won't give it away. The conversation. I drove to the house 3 days after that phone call. I needed to have this conversation in person. They'd set up the living room like an intervention. My father sat in his armchair, my mother on the couch. There was even coffee and cookies on the table, like they were hosting a pleasant family meeting and not asking me to hand over nearly $200,000 of my money. My brother was there too. That surprised me. "Good you're here," my mother said, gesturing to the empty spot next to her. "Sit down. We should discuss this like a family." I remained standing. "There's nothing to discuss. The house is mine. I pay for it. I'm not giving it away." My brother leaned forward. He had that earnest look on his face, the one he's always had when he wants something and can't understand why anyone would refuse him. Look, I get that you've put money into this place. I do. But think about it from my perspective. Sarah and I are getting married next month. We want to start a family. We can't do that in an apartment. And you're single, you don't need all this space. It just makes sense for me to have it. My mother said, "You're not married, you don't need a house." I'm not married because I've been too busy paying their mortgage to save for my own life. I looked at my brother, really looked at him. He was 32 years old, and I don't think he'd ever sacrificed anything for anyone in his life. Our parents had always made sure he never had to. Do you know how much I've paid on this house? I asked him. He shrugged. I don't know, some money? It's not like it cost you that much. You've been paying for years, it must be almost paid off by now. I've paid $172,000 in mortgage payments. Over 8 years. That's $1,800 every single month. And there's still over $100,000 left on the loan. My brother's face didn't change. The number didn't register. Okay, so you've been paying it anyway. What's the difference if I live here instead of them? The difference is it's my house. I own it. I've been sacrificing for 8 years to keep this family housed. My father spoke for the first time. Sacrificing? You call it sacrificing when you help your family? That's what family does. No, Dad. What family does is say thank you. What family does is appreciate the help. What family doesn't do is ask the person who saved them from homelessness to give away everything they've worked for because someone else wants it. My mother started crying. Why are you being so cruel? Your brother just wants a home. Is that so wrong? You've always been selfish, always thinking about yourself. I felt something shift in my chest. 8 years of payments. 8 years of sacrifice. 8 years of putting my life on hold for these people. And I was selfish. They asked me to sign over the deed like it's nothing. 8 years of payments. $172,000. Just hand it over because my brother is getting married. I'm leaving, I said. And my answer is no. The house stays in my name because it's my house. This conversation is over. Update 1. The aftermath of saying no. The week after I refused was chaos. My mother called me 17 times in 3 days. Each voicemail was more desperate than the last, cycling through guilt, anger, and manipulation. How could you do this to your brother? He's your family. Your father hasn't slept since you left. Is that what you wanted? I don't know where we went wrong with you. We raised you better than this. My brother texted me a novel-length message about how I was ruining his wedding and tearing the family apart. His fiancée sent her own message, shorter, sharper, calling me spiteful and jealous. My brother said, "You're being selfish. It's just a house." It's not just a house. It's 8 years of my life. It's every sacrifice I made for this family. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I did something I should have done years ago. I called a real estate attorney. We met at his office on a Friday afternoon. I brought all my documentation, the mortgage statements, the deed, the records of every payment I'd made since 2015. He reviewed everything with the methodical patience of someone who'd seen situations like this before. "The house is unambiguously yours," he said finally. "Your name is on the deed. Your name is on the mortgage. Your parents have no legal claim to the property. What if they refuse to leave? Then you begin formal eviction proceedings. Given that they're family and have been living there with your permission, you'll want to provide proper notice first. 60 days is standard and shows good faith. If they don't vacate after that, you file for eviction." "And if I wanted to sell?" He set down the papers. "That's your right. It's your property." That weekend, I contacted a real estate agent. Update 2. The escalation. The house went on the market quietly. I didn't tell my parents. Not yet. I wanted to understand what I was working with before I dropped that particular bomb. The agent walked through the property on a Tuesday when my parents were both out. She was professional and discreet. "The house is in good condition," she told me afterward. "Some cosmetic updates would help, but overall, you're looking at a solid property. Based on current market conditions, I'd list it around $340,000. You might get offers above that. The neighborhood has appreciated significantly." I did the math. I owed approximately $108,000 on the mortgage. Even accounting for fees and closing costs, I'd walk away with over $200,000. $200,000. Enough for a down payment on my own place. Enough to actually start living my life instead of subsidizing everyone else's. I scheduled a family meeting for the following Sunday. This time, I chose neutral ground, a coffee shop downtown. Public enough that my mother couldn't make a scene, private enough that we could talk. I arrived early and secured a corner table. My parents showed up first, wearing matching expressions of cautious hope. They probably thought I was there to capitulate. To be the good son. To give them what they wanted because I'd always given them what they wanted. My brother arrived 5 minutes later with his fiancée. She didn't acknowledge me. "I'm glad you wanted to meet," my mother started, reaching for my hand. "We knew you'd come around. Family is. I'm not signing the house over to anyone." Her hand froze mid-reach. "I've made a decision," I continued. "The house is going on the market. Actually, it's already listed. I'm selling it." Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Then my father's face turned red. "You can't do that. We live there." "I know you do. Which is why I'm giving you 60 days' notice to find alternative housing. That's double the legal requirement." "I'm being more than fair." My brother stood up so fast his chair scraped against the floor. "This is insane. You can't just kick our parents out of their home." "It's not their home. It's my home. I own it. I pay for it. I've been paying for it for 8 years while they lived there for free. And in return for 8 years of sacrifice, they asked me to give it away like it was nothing." My mother was crying now. "Where are we supposed to go? We can't afford rent. We'll be homeless." The irony wasn't lost on me. "You were about to be homeless 8 years ago. I saved you. I've spent the last 8 years keeping you housed at the cost of my own future. And when I say I can't give you any more, suddenly I'm the villain. They lived rent-free in my house for 8 years. They wanted me to give it away like it cost me nothing." My brother tried a different approach. "Look, I get that you're upset. But think about this logically. If you sell the house, you destroy 3 lives, Mom, Dad, and mine. Sarah and I were counting on having a place to live. You'll ruin my wedding and make our parents homeless. All because you're having a temper tantrum." I looked at him, this man I'd grown up with, this brother I'd tried to love despite everything. "Your wedding isn't ruined because you don't get a free house. That's called reality. And our parents aren't homeless. They have 60 days to find a rental like every other adult in the world. What I'm not going to do is sacrifice another decade of my life because you all feel entitled to my money." I stood up and left them sitting there. Behind me, I heard my mother sobbing and my brother cursing. I didn't look back. Update 3. The legal battle that wasn't. I expected them to fight. To hire a lawyer. To claim some kind of ownership over the house. They did threaten it. My brother sent me a message claiming they were pursuing legal options, and that I'd regret this decision. My father left a voicemail saying they'd sue me for everything I had. It never materialized. My attorney got a single letter from a legal aid clinic. My parents had apparently sought free counsel, asking about equitable interest in the property based on years of residency. My attorney responded with documentation showing that my parents had never paid a penny toward the mortgage, property taxes, or maintenance. That they'd lived there explicitly as rent-free guests, not as co-owners. The legal aid clinic didn't respond. Because there was nothing to respond with. Meanwhile, the real estate market was moving. We got 3 offers in the first 2 weeks, all above asking price. I accepted the highest one, $358,000, with a 30-day closing. That gave my parents their 60 days. They'd have to be out before closing. I visited the house once during this period. I needed to collect some items I'd stored in the garage, things I'd left there when I bought the place, thinking I'd eventually move in. Tax documents. Old photo albums. A box of books from college. My mother was there. She wouldn't look at me. "I can't believe you're doing this to us," she said to the wall. "After everything we did for you." I stopped in the hallway. "What did you do for me, exactly? I'm genuinely asking. We raised you. We fed you. We clothed you. We made you who you are. That's called being a parent. It's not a debt I owe you forever. And it certainly doesn't entitle you to $172,000 of my money. Family isn't about money." "Then why did you ask me for mine?" She didn't have an answer. Update 4. The wedding and the move-out. My brother's wedding was scheduled for the 2nd Saturday of April. The house closing was set for the following Monday. I wasn't invited to the wedding. That didn't surprise me. What did surprise me was how little it hurt. I'd spent my entire adult life trying to be the good son, the responsible brother, the one who held everything together. And all I'd gotten for it was an expectation that I'd give even more. From what I heard through relatives, the wedding was modest but nice. The bride's parents hosted a small reception at a restaurant. There were no speeches about the generous gift of a house, because there was no gift. My brother and his new wife moved into an apartment downtown. A nice one, from what I understand, but an apartment nonetheless. Apparently, his fiancée's parents helped with the deposit. The irony of him accepting help from her family while condemning me for not giving more wasn't lost on me. As for my parents, they found a rental about 2 miles from the house they'd lived in for 8 years. 2 bedrooms, reasonable price, in a complex with other retirees. They were not happy about it. My mother called me exactly once after they moved in. "I hope you're satisfied," she said. "Your father and I are living in an apartment like we're students. After everything we went through. You lived rent-free for 8 years, Mom. 8 years where I paid almost $200,000 in mortgage payments. Money that could have been my retirement. Money that could have been a house for me. Money I gave willingly because you're my parents and you needed help. Then why stop now? Because you asked me to give away everything I'd worked for like it was nothing. Because you expected me to sacrifice my entire future so my brother could have what I'd earned. Because when I said no, you told me I wasn't family anymore." She was quiet for a long moment. "You could have just said no to giving him the house. You didn't have to sell it." "No, I didn't have to. But I realized something when you asked me to sign it over. As long as I owned that house, you'd never see it as mine. You'd always see it as yours, as something I was holding that belonged to the family. The only way to make it clear that I'm not your personal bank account was to end the arrangement entirely." I heard her breathing on the other end of the line. When she spoke again, her voice was small. "Do you hate us?" "No. I love you. But I can't keep setting myself on fire to keep you warm. I'm almost 40 years old, and I don't own anything. I don't have savings. I don't have a family of my own. I've spent the last 8 years making sure you had a roof over your heads, and in return, you asked me to give away my future. That's not love, Mom. That's exploitation." She hung up without saying goodbye. Final update, the resolution. The house sold for $358,000. After paying off the remaining mortgage, real estate fees, and closing costs, I walked away with $217,000. For the first time in 8 years, I wasn't paying 2 housing expenses. For the first time in 8 years, I had money that was actually mine. I took my time finding my own place. I wasn't going to rush into another sacrifice, another obligation, another burden I'd carry for someone else. I looked at houses for 3 months, really looked, considering what I wanted rather than what I could afford while supporting everyone else. I found it in early summer. A modest 2-bedroom house with a small backyard, in a quiet neighborhood about 20 minutes from my office. Good bones, needed some cosmetic work, but it was mine. Actually mine. My name on the deed, my name on the mortgage, and my money for no one but me. The down payment took $85,000 of my profit from the sale. I put another $50,000 into renovations. New kitchen, updated bathrooms, fresh paint throughout. The rest went into savings. Real savings. For my future. For my retirement. For whatever comes next. I didn't invite my family to the housewarming. There was no party at all. Just me, a pizza, and the quiet satisfaction of sitting in my own living room in my own house that no one could take from me. My brother called me once, about 3 months after everything settled. He said his wife was pregnant. He said they were struggling with the apartment space. He asked if I might consider helping them with a down payment on a house. I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. "No," I said. "Figure it out yourself." He called me selfish. Again. Some things never change. My parents and I don't talk much anymore. Occasional texts on holidays. A brief phone call on birthdays. The relationship is cordial but distant, which, honestly, is probably how it should have been all along. I spent years trying to buy their love with sacrifice, and all it got me was the expectation of more sacrifice. Now, when my mother mentions the old house, or how hard things are in the apartment, or how she wishes things were different, I just say, "I'm sorry you feel that way." And then I change the subject. I'm not responsible for their feelings anymore. I'm not responsible for my brother's life choices. I'm only responsible for myself. And for the first time in 8 years, I'm actually taking care of myself. Reflection. People ask me sometimes if I regret it. If I feel guilty about selling the house, about making my parents homeless, they weren't homeless, they found a rental immediately. About ruining my brother's wedding, his wedding was fine, he just didn't get a free house. I don't feel guilty. Not anymore. I spent 8 years of my life paying for someone else's roof. 8 years of sacrifice. 8 years of putting my own dreams on hold. And when I finally said, enough, I was treated like the villain. The truth is, some people will never appreciate what you do for them. They'll take and take and take, and the moment you stop giving, they'll blame you for it. They'll call you selfish. They'll call you cruel. They'll act like you've betrayed them by finally putting yourself first. But you haven't betrayed them. You've just stopped betraying yourself. They lived rent-free in my house for 8 years. They wanted me to give it away like it cost me nothing. Instead, I sold it and finally bought something for myself. Some people only appreciate what you do for them when you stop doing it. I'm done waiting for appreciation. I'm done sacrificing for people who see my generosity as their entitlement. I have my own house now. My own life. My own future. And no one is ever going to take that from me. TLDR, 8 years ago, I bought a house for my parents when they were facing foreclosure. Put it in my name, paid the $1,800 per month mortgage myself while living in a small apartment. Total paid $172,000. My parents then asked me to sign the house over to my brother as a wedding gift because I'm not married and don't need it. I said no. They called me selfish. So I sold the house, used the money to buy my own place, and gave them 60 days to find somewhere else to live. They think I'm the villain. I think I finally put myself first for once in my life. Here's what I learned. Some people will never appreciate what you do for them. They'll take, and when you stop giving, they'll blame you for it. They'll call you selfish for finally putting yourself first. I bought this house to save them from being homeless. I've paid $172,000 in mortgage payments over 8 years. And they want me to gift it to my brother for his wedding. I live in a 600-square-foot apartment because I can't afford 2 mortgages. They live in my house rent-free. And now they're mad I won't give it away. My mother said, "You're not married, you don't need a house." I'm not married because I've been too busy paying their mortgage to save for my own life. They asked me to sign over the deed like it's nothing. 8 years of payments. $172,000. Just hand it over because my brother is getting married. My brother said, "You're being selfish. It's just a house." It's not just a house. It's 8 years of my life. It's every sacrifice I made for this family. I said no. So I sold the house. Used the money to buy my own place. Gave them 60 days to find somewhere else. They lived rent-free in my house for 8 years. They wanted me to give it away like it cost me nothing. Instead, I sold it and finally bought something for myself. Some people only appreciate what you do for them when you stop doing it.